Would I be the a-hole if I left my house to a future mother-in-law, and not my partner? Hi all, this has been on my mind since we had the conversation. I 31 female own my own house where my 32 male partner of 5 years lives with me. I pay everything for the house myself, bills, mortgage, insurance, whereas my partner contributes holidays, food, luxuries and general non-traceable expenses. My sibling has just had a baby, so I am in the process of updating my pension beneficiaries, will and life insurance etc. When I spoke to my partner I said that the house would be going to my siblings and my pension would be going to the new niece, nephew. I said that my life insurance is set up so in the event of death he will have it. He said he was not happy with this arrangement and the house should go to him in the event of our future mortgage. To clarify, we do not own a home together but are working towards it. After this though, I have had a heavy feeling in my heart as I am not so sure I want to do this anymore. For context, he has his own flat which I lived in rent-free for 3 years, however it is a future mother-in-law property, and not his deed. For more context, I also earn substantially more than him, 15K plus, so the majority of the mortgage allowance is from my salary. Not married and no children for context. So Reddit, would I be the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not making my brother's BBQ non-alcoholic to accommodate his GF? Hi y'all. For context, I am throwing my brother a graduation BBQ at the house we rent together. He worked hard to earn his undergraduate degree and I want to celebrate him. I told him to invite any of his friends and girlfriend and am planning to invite a mother-in-law and a few of our mutual friends. Today, he told me that his GF requests we make the BBQ a non-alcoholic event, as his GF is uncomfortable around alcohol. She's never drank before due to anxiety issues. I responded that there will be non-alcoholic and alcoholic options for anyone's preferences. I firmly believe that if an event I'm planning is at my house, I shouldn't have to tell a group of people not to do something in order to make one person happy. Everyone is entitled to their own preferences and lifestyle choices. What do you guys think? Edit to add. Thank y'all for the responses. Really enjoying reading all of your perspectives. To answer some of your questions, 1. She doesn't live at our house. 2. My brother passed along the request. He doesn't have a preference for whether alcohol is there or not. 3. The BBQ is for him and to celebrate his big achievement. I am having a separate birthday BBQ with my friends at our house for my own birthday a few weeks later. Not making the day anything about my preferences, just trying to make sure all who attend are happy and able to do what they enjoy, drink or not drink. My mother-in-law enjoys doing BBQs to just relax and play games, sports outside. 4. Drinking is not the priority for the event, spending quality time together is. We are all in our late 20s and 30s and are not huge party people. Some people choose not to drink, some people choose to enjoy beverages with their meals. There's no pressure to partake or not partake in either option. This would not be a rowdy or rage event. Would I be the a-hole if I snitched on someone to the tax office? Asking because I feel like I would be, but also because I think what's happening is kinda BS. So my partner's sister 30 female runs a side hustle from her home. Her husband 32 male works full-time, and as far as the tax man knows, she's a sahole M. Except she has a full setup business running out of her house, doing beauty treatments on people. She has a Socom business page, a website and everything, and takes organized bookings. She charges market rates, sometimes more for her services, and asks outright for cash in hand. I don't normally go to her, but on this occasion I decided to book in just because my regular beauty therapist was unavailable. I don't carry cash, so I asked her if it was okay if I used bank transfer. She said it was fine but label the transfer as lunch. When I asked her a bit more about why, she said it was so she didn't have to pay tax on her earnings. Per my partner, it's generally well known that she doesn't. She stashes the cash and they only pay tax on his income. I feel like this is pretty crappy. We all ought to pay our share of taxes. Things like healthcare, NHS, public education, parks and things like that depend on our taxes. She accesses these things like the rest of us, so shouldn't she be contributing? But I also know that major corps get tax breaks and billionaires are dodging the tax office as much as they can too, so I'm kinda torn on this one. Is it really that big a deal if she's not paying her 20K a year? Would I be the a-hole if I reported her so that she has to formalize her business and start paying tax? ETA, I say side hustle, but she's absolutely working a full-time job from home. I don't know how much she earns, but a middle-income earner in the UK pays anywhere from £10K to £50K in tax depending on income. Just wanted to clarify that since I wasn't clear. Edit 2. The evasion gets up my nose because she basically has a full-time business set up out of her house. She advertises, organizes bookings with the general public, does an array of treatments from lash tint and wax to facials and body scrubs etc. It's like a mini day spa. In saying that, the judgment seems pretty split down the middle, but someone left a comment that said I'd technically be correct to report her but still would be a major a-hole. And given that this is the Am I the a-hole sub, I accept that judgment. I won't report her, and I'll leave any discussion about the tax stuff to my partner. I guess eventually, given that she does have an audience, the HMRC will catch on eventually. Am I the a-hole for allowing daughter to exclude future mother-in-law? My daughter's 5th birthday is coming up and we are having a party with future mother-in-law. My husband and I agreed to let my daughter choose who she wants to invite. She chose to invite everyone and my future mother-in-law and my husband's future mother-in-law, except for my husband's mom and stepfather. A bit of backstory is that my mother-in-law and father-in-law live out of state and have taken absolutely no interest in my daughter's life. They haven't even seen her in 3 years. During the past 3 years, my husband and I have tried to get them to FaceTime my daughter, but to no avail. My mother-in-law recently, as in the last few weeks, started calling her once a week or so, but it took so many attempts to even get to that point. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are both retired, so the lack of effort is certainly not due to a lack of time. They are also financially well off and have taken many trips in the last few years, just not to see us. Well, my mother-in-law and father-in-law invited themselves out here during the days of my daughter's birthday and birthday party, so when they found out my daughter doesn't want them here, they were very offended. My mother-in-law is complaining to the rest of my husband's future mother-in-law about how hurt she is. I'm of the mindset that she has made no effort with my daughter, so why should my daughter have to include her in her birthday? But my husband is starting to feel guilty and the rest of his future mother-in-law is saying how hurt his mom is. So, am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for insisting my father-in-law not of his parents over the Christmas when I will have just given birth? Before I get into it, I should provide some insight into the future mother-in-law structure. Through my husband, I have my in-laws, mother-in-law and father-in-law, i.e., my husband's stepdad. Father-in-law came into mother-in-law's life when my husband was already an adult, so it's not like father-in-law is long-standing father figure to my husband. Mother-in-law in turn has her in-laws father-in-law's parents, Steve and May. For various reasons, Steve and May are unlikely to have bio-grandkids of their own, so my mother-in-law, father-in-law tell us constantly that they consider me and my husband their grandkids. It's cruel of me to say, but I don't reciprocate the sentiment. To me, Steve and May are just my father-in-law's parents. I'm not close with them and see them about once every couple years. However, I would never say this aloud. In summary, the relation is between me and, to a lesser extent, my husband and May. Steve is pretty distant. I found out I'm pregnant with my first child. Despite it being a bit early, we've decided to tell mother-in-law, father-in-law right away. Mother-in-law, father-in-law are ecstatic. The due date is right before Christmas, so mother-in-law would like to host us and baby at her house. I've agreed, provided I can focus on recovering and tending to the baby. I've also told sister-in-law, mother-in-law that I don't want visitors during this time as I'll still be quite delicate, and baby will only be a week or so old. In fact, we've decided that we won't have any visitors at all until the baby is 3 months old. The only exceptions are father-in-law, mother-in-law. Mother-in-law usually has a revolving door of visitors during Christmas, but understands and would rather spend time with her first grandchild. Father-in-law, however, has really kicked up a fuss, saying that he should be able to invite May, Steve over Christmas at his own house and they should be able to meet their great-grandkids. I suggested sister-in-law, mother-in-law go over the Steve, May's house for Boxing Day, or even Christmas Day while I stay back and recover with baby at sister-in-law, mother-in-law's house. Steve, May live about 30 minutes away from father-in-law, sister-in-law. I've also said Steve, May are not exceptions to the 3-month rule and asked father-in-law to respect the decisions. An argument ensued, which culminated into me threatening to remove father-in-law from the exception list if he cannot respect my decisions, and 2 threatening to not spend Christmas at theirs. Also, I didn't say this, but I really don't feel comfortable with having Steve and May, who I don't consider future mother-in-law, around at this time. My husband supports me and even defended me during this argument, and while mother-in-law is sad at how things transpired, she understands my point of view. I know I have no right to dictate who sister-in-law, mother-in-law can have at their house, especially during Christmas. I also feel horrible about putting mother-in-law in a difficult position. However, if they insist on having us over so soon after I've given birth, I want them to respect the boundaries I've put down for me and my newborn child. Should I die on this hill, or am I the a-hole? Edit. Father-in-law isn't insistent that they have the normal amount of visitors, we're all in agreement on that. The issue is that father-in-law thinks his parents should be the exception to the rule, hence the explanation of the future mother-in-law at the beginning. I also forgot to add that mother-in-law, father-in-law usually spend Boxing Day at Steve and May's anyway, so I don't understand why they have to come over this Christmas. Edit 2. We're not staying with them for 3 months. Only a few days. 1 week, tops. Edit 3. Lots of comments here are shaming me for agreeing to mother-in-law's proposal of spending Christmas at hers. While I appreciate the advice as a first-time mom, that's not really the subject of this Am I the a-hole thread. It's whether AITA for pushing back at my father-in-law who insists his parents see the baby granted at his own house. Those who have said YTA for dictating what visitors' father-in-law can have at his house at least understood the assignment.